Hello and welcome to News Tonight. I'm Tina Jha. Before we begin with the headlines, I would like to appeal to all our viewers to continue to maintain COVID-appropriate behavior. Remember to wear your face masks, wash your hands and face regularly, and ensure that you maintain physical distancing whenever you step outside. Remember, we are still in the midst of the pandemic, and these simple precautions are all that it takes to defeat it. And now the headlines of the day. Prime Minister Narendra Modi takes part in the 50th year celebrations of Bangladesh's liberation. Honours Sheikh Mujibur Rahman posthumously with the Gandhi Peace Prize. India and Bangladesh facing common challenges, says Prime Minister Modi. Calls for joint fight against terrorism, praises cooperation between the two countries to fight the COVID pandemic. India and South Korea to strengthen military ties. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh holds talks with his South Korean counterpart. Reaffirms support to multilateral initiatives to promote lasting peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific region. Both leaders also inaugurate the Indo-Korean Bilateral Friendship Park in New Delhi. "30 seats in West Bengal, 47 seats in Assam to go to polls in the first phase tomorrow. Voting in accordance with the COVID-19 protocol, a maximum of 1,000 voters allowed per polling booth. Poll timing extended by 1 hour. And the centre rushes high-level teams to Chandigarh and Chhattisgarh, teams to work with state governments to contain the spread of coronavirus. Steep rise in cases in Maharashtra, Punjab, Karnataka and Gujarat. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday hailed Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's leadership and the contributions of the Indian Army in Bangladesh's 1971 Liberation War, as he joined his counterpart Sheikh Hasina in celebrating the Golden Jubilee of the country's independence and the birth centenary of its founder. At the beginning of the program, the Prime Minister handed over the Gandhi Peace Prize 2020 to Bangabandhu's daughters, Prime Minister Hasina and her younger sister Sheikh Rehana. Speaking at the 50th National Day program of Bangladesh at the National Parade Square, the Prime Minister said it was an honor for India to confer the Gandhi Peace Prize on Mujibur Rahman. He recalled the role played by the Indian Army in the War of Liberation.
इसी साल ही भारत बांग्लादेश मैत्री के 50 वर्ष पूरे हो रहे हैं। जातिर पिता बंगबंधु शेख मुजीबुर रहमान की जन्मशती का ये वर्ष दोनों देशों के संबंधों को और मजबूत कर रहा है। एक्सेलेंसीज, राष्ट्रपति अब्दुल हामिद जी, प्रधानमंत्री शेख हसीना जी और बांग्लादेश के नागरिकों का मैं आभार प्रकट करता हूं। आपने अपने इस गौरवशाली क्षणों में, इस उत्सव में भागीदार बनने के लिए भारत को सप्रेम निमंत्रण दिया। मैं सभी भारतीयों की तरफ से आप सभी को, बांग्लादेश के सभी नागरिकों को हार्दिक बधाई देता हूं।
The Prime Minister said India and Bangladesh have similar opportunities in the fields of trade and commerce, but at the same time, both countries are also facing the threat of terrorism.
कि बांग्लादेश के आजादी के 50 वर्ष और भारत की आजादी के 75 वर्ष का पड़ाव एक साथ ही आया है। हम दोनों ही देशों के लिए 21वीं सदी में अगले 25 वर्षों की यात्रा बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण है। हमारी विरासत भी साझी है। हमारा विकास भी साझा है, हमारे लक्ष्य भी साझे हैं, हमारी चुनौतियां भी साझी हैं। हमें याद रखना है कि व्यापार और उद्योग में जहां हमारे लिए एक जैसी संभावनाएं हैं, तो आतंकवाद जैसे समान खतरे भी हैं। जो सोच और शक्तियां इस प्रकार की अमानवीय घटनाओं को अंजाम देती हैं।
The Prime Minister said during the pandemic, both countries worked in tandem, adding that India is delighted that Made in India vaccines are now treating the people of Bangladesh. He also announced the Swarna Jayanti Scholarship for the youth of Bangladesh and invited 50 Bangladeshi entrepreneurs to India.
कोरोना के इस कालखंड में भी दोनों देशों के बीच बेहतरीन तालमेल रहा है। हमने सार्क कोविड फंड की स्थापना में सहयोग किया, अपने ह्यूमन रिसोर्स की ट्रेनिंग में सहयोग किया। भारत को इस बात की बहुत खुशी है कि मेड इन इंडिया वैक्सीन्स बांग्लादेश के हमारे बहनों और भाइयों के काम आ रही है।
On the 50th Liberation Day of Bangladesh, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina urged the people to set aside their differences to build a prosperous and non-communal Bangladesh. She said, in our independence war, we always remember the contribution of India and its government that was beside the country during the good and bad times. The Bangladeshi Prime Minister added that India has now become one of their best development partners.
India was also beside Bangladesh.
বাংলাদেশের বিষয়ে যেটা আমি নিজে লক্ষ্য করেছি, ভারতের প্রতিটি রাজনৈতিক দল,
all the political parties of Bangladesh, of India, all political parties of India are always united in one issue, and that is being beside Bangladesh and the people of Bangladesh.
Later, Prime Minister Modi also inaugurated the Bangabandhu Bapu exhibition at the Bangabandhu International Conference Centre in Dhaka. The exhibition showcases the life and legacies of the two great leaders. The Prime Minister of Bangladesh also accompanied Prime Minister Modi. The Foreign Minister of Bangladesh, A.K. Abdul Momen, on Friday called on Prime Minister Modi. During their talks, both the leaders reflected on strengthening their all-encompassing partnership based on sovereignty, equality, trust and understanding that transcends the bilateral strategic partnership. The Prime Minister also interacted with leaders from the opposition parties of the various political parties in Bangladesh. Later, the Prime Minister also met political leaders from 14-party alliance along with the convener, during which they discussed diverse issues on bilateral relations to strengthen ties between the two countries. Prime Minister Modi also received a warm welcome from members of the Indian diaspora and the Bohra community in Dhaka. The Prime Minister greeted the members with folded hands, and some members of the Dawoodi Bohra community gifted him with a shawl as well.
Meeting the Prime Minister was very humbling. I mean, the interaction was, it didn't feel like you were interacting with such a great personality. I mean, he was so humble. It was very, very warm interaction with us.
कोरोना का पैंडेमिक है, कैसे सिक्योरिटी इश्यूज है, तो मोदी साहब तो गाड़ी से उतर के बिल्कुल एक हम्बल पर्सन की तरह डायरेक्ट पब्लिक में आ गए, रेड कारपेट छोड़ दिया और सबसे बात करने लगे, हमसे मिले, सईदना साहब का सलाम। बरसों से पुरखों से यहाँ रहते हैं लेकिन मूल गुजरात से हैं, तो हमारे साथ गुजराती में बात की, केम छो सईदना साहब, केम छे।
Prime Minister Modi also interacted with eminent young achievers from different walks of life. Among them were Bangladeshi cricketer Sheikh and various film stars as well. So Prime Minister Modi arrived in Dhaka early on Friday for his first foreign visit since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. In a Twitter message, the Prime Minister had said the two-day visit will contribute to even stronger bilateral relations between India and Bangladesh. That was his departure message on Thursday. Here's a report. At the Hazrat Shah Jalal Airport in Dhaka, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was given a red carpet welcome by his Bangladeshi counterpart Sheikh Hasina and her cabinet colleagues. Sheikh Hasina greeted the Prime Minister with a bouquet of flowers. A 19-gun salute and a guard of honor were accorded to the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister then visited the National Martyrs Memorial, where he paid tributes to the martyrs of the Bangladesh Liberation War of 1971. He planted a sapling of Arjun tree and signed the visitor's book. Bangladesh is celebrating Mujib Borsho, the birth centenary of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Prime Minister Modi is the chief guest at the events to commemorate 50 years of diplomatic relations between India and Bangladesh, as well as 50 years of Bangladesh's War of Liberation. With inputs from Akhilesh Suman, Bureau Report, Sansad TV. Prime Minister Modi has said that India will remain Bangladesh's partner as they jointly march towards the golden future for which Bangabandhu and millions of patriotic Bangladeshis and thousands of Indians gave up their lives. In an opinion piece titled Imagining a Different South Asia with Bangabandhu, published in the Daily Star newspaper, Prime Minister Modi said that the assassination of the father of Bangladesh deprived the region of the destiny that could and should have been ours to share. He asserted that it was time to once again chart a bold ambition for partnership between both India and Bangladesh. Citing the example of the 2015 land boundary agreement between both countries, the Prime Minister said that had Bangabandhu been at the helm longer, this achievement may have come much earlier. The Prime Minister also said that despite all the struggles and persecutions he suffered, Bangabandhu retained a generosity of spirit that is a mark of true greatness. Paying homage to Sheikh Mujibur Rahman on his birth centenary celebrations, the Prime Minister said that he was a tall leader whose vision went beyond the narrow confines of physical borders and social divisions. And with that, time for a short break here. More news and updates will continue on the other side. Do stay with us.
Do you know the Maharashtra Control of Organized Crime Act was enacted in which year? Your options are A. 1996, B. 1997, C. 1998 and D. 1999. The correct answer is D. 1999.
Watch The Big Picture at 9:30 p.m. only on Rajya Sabha television. Do you know which was the first Indian state to make voting compulsory in local body polls?
Your options are A. Rajasthan, B. Maharashtra, C. Punjab and D. Gujarat. And the correct answer is D. Gujarat.
Welcome back. You're watching News Tonight. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh on Friday met his South Korean counterpart Subwook in New Delhi and discussed ways to broaden defense and military ties between both countries. A host of issues, including geopolitical developments in the region and ways to boost bilateral strategic partnership, were also held. Both the ministers reaffirmed their support to multilateral initiatives to promote lasting peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific region. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh and Subwook jointly inaugurated the Indo-Korean Bilateral Friendship Park at the Delhi Cant area. The park commemorates the contribution of Indian peacekeepers during the Korean War from 1950 to 1953. Subwook also laid a wreath and paid homage to the martyrs at the National War Memorial in the national capital. The Defense Minister of South Korea is on a 3-day visit to India. In some other news, the Supreme Court on Friday refused to stay the sale of electoral bonds ahead of the assembly elections. The sale of electoral bonds is scheduled from the 1st to the 10th of April. A bench headed by Chief Justice S.A. Bobde declined to stay the sale of the electoral bonds as sought in the application moved by the NGO Association for Democratic Reforms, which had alleged lack of transparency in the bank accounts of political parties. The Apex Court said that the electoral bonds had been issued several times before and that there is no evidence that has brought about its adverse impact on the elections. The top court added that no interim order is required in the case, as it had earlier issued certain interim orders on the matter. The NGO had said there is anonymity about the donor and the Election Commission, and the Reserve Bank of India had earlier raised objections on it. And time now for all the news and views from the poll-bound states. The stage is set for the first phase of polling in West Bengal and Assam on Saturday. Elaborate arrangements have been made to ensure free and fair polls in accordance with the COVID protocol. Over 1.54 lakh voters in West Bengal and Assam will exercise their franchise on Saturday in the first phase of polling to decide the fate of the candidates. The Election Commission has decided to use VVPAT along with the electronic voting machines at every polling station with a view to enhance the transparency and credibility of the election process. In view of the COVID-19 pandemic, a maximum of 1,000 electors have been allowed at one polling station instead of 1,500 electors earlier. The option of postal ballot facility has been extended to the electors who are COVID-19 positive or suspected, and also for persons with disabilities, and those above the age of 80 years as well. Mandatory sanitization of polling station, thermal checking of voters at entry points will be carried out. The poll timing has been extended by 1 hour in all assembly constituencies except those areas affected by left-wing extremism. Polling will take place for 30 assembly seats in West Bengal, for which 191 candidates are in the fray. The BJP is contesting 29 out of the 30 seats, with one seat being contested by its ally, the AJSU. The Trinamool Congress Party has fielded 29 candidates in the first phase. The party is supporting an independent candidate in Jaipur constituency after the nomination of its candidate was rejected. The Congress, the left parties and their alliance partner, the Indian Secular Front, are fighting under the banner of Sanyukta Morcha. In Assam, 264 candidates are in the fray for the 47 assembly constituencies that will go to polls in the first phase. 3 main alliances are locked in a tight contest in the state, including the BJP-led National Democratic Alliance, which includes the AGP. The Grand Alliance, led by the Congress, and the United People's Party Liberal Congress has fielded 43 candidates. The Assam Jatiya Parishad has 41, the BJP has fielded 39, AGP 10, while 78 independents, along with others, are also trying their luck. Union Home Minister and BJP leader Amit Shah addressed several public rallies in Assam on Friday. Addressing these rallies, Amit Shah said that the BJP government has taken several measures to ensure development not only of Assam but the entire northeast region. Amit Shah underscored that it was due to the Prime Minister's efforts that the Bodo Accord was signed, paving the way for peace and development in the region. He added that the BJP is committed to strengthening Assamese culture and civilization. He also noted that the BJP government has already made Assam free from insurgency and agitations and promised to promote employment and make the state flood-free in the next 5 years. The Home Minister warned that if the Congress and its allies are voted to power, violence and infiltration will return to the state. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee on Friday questioned the policies of the central government and alleged that the Indian economy has gone for a toss and that there is no industrial growth. She addressed political rallies in Paschim Medinipur district of the state. The 8-phase elections to the 294-seat West Bengal Assembly begins tomorrow. And the BJP released its election manifesto for Puducherry on Friday. The party promised free education for girls from KG to higher education, 50% quota for women in local bodies, reopening of textile mills, and also setting up of textile parks in the Union Territory. The manifesto promised to make Puducherry a business hub, education hub, spiritual hub, and a tourism hub as well. Besides, the party has promised to build a 150-foot-tall statue of Tamil poet Subramaniam Bharati, holding a world investors meet to attract investments, welfare of poor fishermen, and development of ports. Releasing the manifesto, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said all the schemes that had not seen the light of the day all these years would be implemented with full speed if the BJP came to power. BJP President JP Nadda addressed an election rally in Titakkudi in Tamil Nadu on Friday. Nadda appealed to the people to support the AIADMK-BJP alliance and to take forward the development work initiated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Accusing the DMK and Congress party of corruption, Nadda slammed them for following dynasty politics. He highlighted that ever since Prime Minister Modi assumed office, incidents of shootout on Tamil Nadu fishermen stopped on the international border with Sri Lanka. And let's now take a look at the COVID-19 situation in the country. The centre on Friday asked all states and union territories to regulate crowd during upcoming festivals like Holi, Easter and Eid in view of the rising cases of coronavirus in the country. In a letter to all states and UTs, Union Home Secretary Ajay Bhalla said that the country is passing through a critical juncture as COVID-19 cases and deaths have been rising recently. Bhalla asked them to ensure strict observance of COVID-19 appropriate behavior and take necessary measures in all public gatherings during the upcoming festivals. He also asked states to intensify campaign for creating public awareness to maintain COVID-appropriate behavior, that is, wearing masks and following social distancing. Looking at the COVID statistics, India saw 59,118 new infections in the last 24 hours, taking the COVID-19 tally to over 1 crore 18 lakh. The active cases increased to 4,21,000 on Friday, comprising 3.55% of the total infections. The death toll has also increased to 1,60,949, with 257 daily new fatalities reported yesterday. 32,987 recoveries were reported in the last 24 hours. And with this, the COVID-19 recoveries in the country have crossed 1 crore 12 lakh. The national recovery rate has come down to 95.09%. 11 lakh samples were tested yesterday. And with this, India has tested over 23 crore 86 lakh samples of COVID-19 till date. Maharashtra, Punjab, Karnataka, Chhattisgarh and Gujarat have reported a surge in daily new cases. Maharashtra reported the highest daily cases at 35,952. It is followed by Punjab with 2,661 cases, while Karnataka reported 2,523 new cases of coronavirus. Maharashtra has ordered a night curfew in the entire state starting the 28th of March in view of the surge in cases. Meanwhile, the centre is sending 2 high-level teams to Chhattisgarh and Chandigarh in view of rising COVID cases. These central teams will assist in COVID-19 management and also recommend required control and containment measures. Over 5 crore 55 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses have been administered to beneficiaries in the country so far. These include 80 lakh healthcare workers and 85 lakh frontline workers who have been given the first dose of the vaccine, while 51 lakh healthcare workers and 33 lakh frontline workers have also received the second dose of the vaccine. 55 lakh beneficiaries above the age of 45 and nearly 2.5 crore people above the age of 60 have also been vaccinated. Over 23 lakh vaccine doses were administered to people in just the past 24 hours. And that's it from us in this bulletin. But before we leave, I once again urge all our viewers to continue to maintain COVID-appropriate behavior in the wake of sudden surge in cases countrywide. Remember to wear your face masks, wash your hands and face regularly, and ensure that you maintain physical distancing each time you step outside. Remember, we are still in the midst of the pandemic, and these are simple precautions that we need to take on our part to defeat the pandemic. Take care of yourselves. Good night, and thank you for your time.